Hello, this is Dan Muhlenkamp at Preferred Insurance Center, and we're going to go over real quick the coverages of a home and renter's insurance. Alright, these are the normal coverages that are on the standard policy. The first thing is the dwelling. That's the building. Now, a renter's policy obviously doesn't have building coverage. A dwelling's usually covered for what it would cost to rebuild it. That can vary a lot from market value. So think rebuilding costs. What could we rebuild the same structure for? Other structures, that's like a detached garage or a storage shed. It can't be used for business, but it's usually 10 or 20% of whatever the coverage is on the home, on the dwelling, and other limits are available. We can get more coverage if you need it. But remember, if you use a business, we need to know about that if it's in one of these other structures. Personal property, that's your stuff. It's not just covered in your home, it's covered all over the world. There are some limitations to that. So if you have a lot of property somewhere else, a second home, something along those lines, again, those are particular situations we need to take care of. The other thing is you want to be sure you have what's called personal property replacement costs. That makes sure that you get paid what it costs you to replace that refrigerator, not what your 10-year-old refrigerator was worth. Loss of use. We're fixing up your house, you can't live there, you got to go rent someplace else. We're going to cover your extra cost for living somewhere else. And it's usually 20% of whatever the dwelling limit is, but it could be other things. Liability. What if you get sued? Heaven forbid, you're out there with your lawnmower and the neighborhood child comes around the corner and he gets seriously injured. You're going to get sued over that. Well, maybe, maybe not, but if you do, that's what your liability covers, and it should be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of coverage, maybe $1 million or more. It all depends. Medical payments. That means somebody got injured on your property, but you didn't do anything wrong to cause it. They just slipped and fell maybe, something like that. The insurance company wants to pay $1,000 to cover the x-rays. It keeps everybody happy. It's a good guy coverage. And the last one is your deductible. A deductible is the amount you pay in the event of a loss before the insurance company starts to pay. And it does not apply to liability or medical payments, but it applies to all the other coverages. The higher the deductible, the more money you save. Most people should have a $500 deductible or a $1,000 deductible. If you have a high-valued home, a much higher deductible might be worth it. Next are some extra coverages to consider. These are things that are not in a standard homeowner's policy, like earthquake. Earthquake's more likely in Ohio than what you think. We've had quite a few over the years. Most of them have been small. A couple of claims here and there. Some schools and brick buildings are damaged much quicker in earthquakes than frame buildings. So consider it. Remember, it's not covered unless you pay extra for it. Backup of sewers and drains. That means water coming into your house in a way from a source it was intended to go out of, like a drain or a sewer or a sump pump. This is not flood insurance. Flood insurance is surface water. Backup of sewers and drains is not in a standard policy. If you need that coverage, which means you probably have a finished basement or you have things stored in your basement and you want to be sure if you get water in there it's covered, be sure to talk to us. You may have that coverage, but it's not standard, so you make sure. Flood insurance, that's surface water. It's not water coming in through a drain. It means there's water in your backyard, and this does happen on occasion, and it runs into your house or whatever it may be. Most of the time, these things can only be covered through the National Flood Insurance Program. We can help you out with those policies. There's no doubt about that. But it's not covered on a standard homeowner's policy. Valuable jewelry or collectibles, guns, coins, fine arts, all these things. There's very limited coverage for these items on the standard policy. If you have a fire and you have $1,000 worth of jewelry, you're going to be fine. But if you misplace an $8,000 ring, that's another story. We can get coverage for these things. And we can get fantastic coverage for them. But we need to know you have them. We need to know what coverage you want for them. And obviously add it to the policy. Four-wheelers. There's no standard coverage for those under a homeowner's policy anymore. Not just the four-wheeler, but the liability. Driving along the side of the road and cause an accident. Guess what? It's your fault. Somebody's got to pay. You have to have coverage for that. Mopeds, boats, all the fun stuff. Snowmobiles, that type of thing. If you've got them, we need to know about it. Guaranteed replacement costs. This means we have your house insured for $200,000, and lo and behold, it takes $225,000 to rebuild it. It's an additional coverage. It may or may not be necessary. Hopefully we have a high enough limit on the home anyways, but it's a small premium to pay for some extra peace of mind. Not always available on an older home. A personal umbrella. This means you're getting sued a lot of money. It covers both your auto and your homeowner's insurance at the same time. And lawsuits are getting larger all the time. You can have $1 million extra protection for a very low premium, sometimes as low as $100. Usually it's more than that. Sometimes common premium would be $150 to $250 for $1 million protection. If you're getting sued for $1 million and you've only got $300,000 worth of coverage, that's a serious problem. This is the type of policy that can eliminate those problems. And the last one, life and disability insurance. But you know, you're more likely to lose your home because a breadwinner passes away or a breadwinner has a long-term disability than you are through a fire. And that's true. And you wouldn't think about not having fire insurance, but a lot of people go without life and disability insurance. So that's the 2-minute briefing on homeowners insurance. Now, I didn't cover everything, never could, but give us a call. You have any questions whatsoever, we'll take care of you. Thank you. And again, this is Dan Muhlenkamp with Preferred Insurance Center.